trying to bridge it with like
1992. I ain't too proud to beg.
Welcome back, Redeemers. Thank you for joining us again. My name is Curtis.
I'm Nick.
Keith.
And today we got the last track on RM's Indigo album, No.2, featuring Park Jiyoon.
They'll let you know in the comments.
If I'm not mistaken, Jiyoon? Anyway, this is the last track on the album. We've already got through most of it, so this is kind of going to tie everything back together. So yeah, unless you have anything you want to add as far as album reviews or anything like that.
No, I'm good. We'll probably take a listen to it, probably talk a little bit about it. Since Keith is up here, I want to give him an opportunity to hear some stuff too. So album review probably be a separate video, but we can talk about this track and kind of leave it at that, and then we should be good. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
I think this song is going to be the number 2, the shit.
Number 2 favorite on the album. Now, without further ado, let's see what we got.
Why is the cadence Neo?
Do you?
I think the track is called If You.
What?
I'll tell you afterwards.
What, the Neo John? Oh, do you?
믿었던 그 모든 사고 영겁처럼 믿었던 그 모든 밤도 최선을 다해 스피야 그때여자는 뒤돌아보지 마 그 많은 파도다 지난 뒤 무수한 만일이 널 괴롭혀도 이젠 네가 널 지켜 선명히 뒤섞인 기억들 이 남은 삶들은 좀처럼 나 최선을 넌 다해 슬픈가 So no looking back no looking back no looking back Don't look back no more No looking back no looking back 최선을 넌 다해 슬픈가 So no looking back no looking back no looking back Don't look back no more No looking back no looking back 이제 네가 널 지켜줄 거야
I feel it's like the cadence kind of reminded us of that. A good comparison. To me, it's one of my favorite R&B albums of all time.
Ironically, a little similar in production, I would say, as well.
But all in good. It is literally kind of brought me right back to that pocket.
That's a good way to put it, that pocket.
Yeah, it brought me right into like that pocket. I like this though, man. He's just proving again that I feel like he's in so many kind of pockets on here.
Big pocket.
It feels like it. It's like let me get this flow.
Good
I
on
can
my
do
part.
this. I can do this if I want to.
Nothing you could say.
When they did their part together, when they was like kind of harmonizing, I don't know why I picture like him or her, like foreheads touching almost, looking in the mic, just singing to
Staring at each other's eyes.
staring at each other.
Like a Stars Born cover, kind of.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because it was like the Lady Gaga moment.
And I
My
picture
that's,
sharing,
that's a little where my mind
sharing
was.
one of those old mics, like with the metal joints with like the grill on the front.
Yeah.
Nah, but it felt really good.
It seemed like a Lupe Fiasco B-side.
That's nice, Lupe. Is he okay? Sometimes you gotta check on old legends.
I just realized USB's okay.
Yeah, nah. Sometimes I be wondering. You don't hear about somebody, they be like, he's going through it.
What a fiasco.
But yeah, now this was solid. Not quite sure if it's a download. You probably
Blasphemer.
had to be in the mood. Which a lot of the music
I
is
was about to say, I feel
mood
like
music.
this whole album, almost you have to be in the mood for. Yeah, sorry to cut you off. But.
Nah. I'm pretty much on there too because almost every song is click with me out of 10. Maybe
That closer joint is just a fucking vibe,
maybe
though.
a closer. We'll talk about that in the album review. Yeah, I'm feeling this. How you feel?
Overall, I like it a lot. I would say
That pause.
Well, no, I'm just processing still, but it's a lot of it is really melodic. Of course, I do definitely love as far as the production, how not just on this song, but how for what we've seen through a large portion of the album, easily 75-80% of it, how scaled back the production is. Like it really feels like he's laying the most serviceable groundwork, but keeping it so minimal and scaled back to allow the story, the lyrics, the vocals to be the forefront. And it almost feels like, and I don't mean that this is like kind of like campfire-esque, but I mean in the kind of old tales of like scaling back everything. Like it feels like it's
Like an acoustic.
yeah, exactly. And I guess that's really what I'm circling around to is like someone just grabbing a guitar and just kind of stringing along, playing it, and then
Like
just,
coffee house style.
yeah, coffee house. That's exactly the best way to put it. But it's like I love how introspective everything has been on the album that we've heard thus far. I would say probably, and this was another weird thing structurally that I wasn't as used to, was it was only one verse with a hook, but then a collective outro together. But I like that, especially knowing that that's kind of what they wrapped the album up on. It wasn't necessarily like, a verse, a hook, second verse, bridge, and then kind of outro. It really felt like he just said exactly what was on his mind. He didn't necessarily feel like he had to break it down to 8 bars and then space it out 8 bars. Like it really felt like he was like getting everything kind of off his chest collectively, but it feels more like I don't want to say the resolution just because it's like the end of the album, but for the series of tracks that we had heard in relation to the love aspects of everything. And I don't want to, necessarily like spoil that for Keith or anything, but basically just kind of the different shades of the aspects of love that he's kind of shown throughout the different songs. I really like where this one like kind of ties a bow on everything, in the sense that it's like it's, and I don't want to say that he's necessarily meeting a more like older, mature woman perhaps, but it kind of gives those implications, and not just because of the feature, of course, but it's like when he had the line in there about the basically like he was someone who was young and wanting basically recognition, whether artistic recognition or whether just like love, affection, those kind of things, and basically saying that his mind was kind of seemingly like so far ahead of everyone else's to where it was, I guess I want to say, for lack of a better way of putting it, like basically that he is wise beyond his years, so that it's not easy to kind of link with someone and meet and form a connection. So that it led to someone like him going for someone who was a little bit older, perhaps, to kind of match his energy, perhaps.
Funny you said that because she is a little bit older.
No, and that's why I said I was saying like it's. I mean, given the feature, I know he was very specific in how and why he chose his features. And I'm not sure if that's exactly the reason or if that's, part of it or anything like that, but basically saying that, that more mature person, like that was kind of the vibe I was going for, to where you kind of yin yang each other almost in a sense.
It's just funny though, because like you said, him matching the way you're describing him talking to like older woman and stuff, and then her being a little older than him. At least she's 40, and from what I've seen too, she was signed with JYP before as a solo artist.
She's like a legend in her own right. And honestly, everyone that we've kind of heard about from collectively on this album
have been legends in their own right.
And I'm and I do really like her vocals, just like aside from those aspects, but. The thing I like about that is basically he described it like a balloon, like he was like deflated, like ego wise and everything, and then she essentially fills that balloon, basically kind of giving him that hope, and then for it to essentially not to necessarily pop, but just for the like when all the air kind of goes out the balloon when you let it go and it flies around and everything, but he kind of circled back to that
deflation.
Yeah, and it's basically like that. What we had said before in previous ones about like that building up of like not necessarily being in love, but like I'm seeing potential in this person, for it to then kind of fall through, like where you're seeing those hopes of that future, really picking up off of Lonely, honestly, as far as the trivial thoughts and things of that nature. But what I really like about this in relation to that line, because he keeps it in one verse, so he just essentially gets all of his thoughts out on that, is when he gets to that place where it's like okay, like I'm like ready to seemingly let go of those things. Like it's not just that this didn't work out, but it's like whatever went wrong, it's seemingly like, because there's so much emphasis on just wanting to be human and kind of coming to accept those things. And I think the outro kind of tied it together really nice as far as their voices harmonizing together.
And there's a common thread with the first track, because the whole thing.
Yeah.
The whole album, really, in a nutshell, just feels like I'm human before anything.
Yeah, and the production mimics that as far as scaling a lot of the production back and just really allowing the vocals to shine and what's being said to have the most prevalence on the track.
No, I'm there with you. I do think production-wise, everything on here was dope. I do like on here and a lot of the tracks in general. This might be the most breathing room I've seen for like BTS or RM in particular, as far as like using voices to fill in some of the production, and then just even certain things that maybe I haven't seen so much on any of his like earlier projects. Like how on tracks Keith sometimes the beat will still be going and they'll be in studio almost and just be like, yo, Keith, you feeling this joint, yo? You like, yeah, you feeling it? Yeah, let's jump into the next verse almost. I don't normally see them talk like that to each other on tracks. So to kind of get that energy on here and just breathing room.
Like the Anderson .Paak jump.
It's just kind of like, it's almost like you're trusting your viewers to just get immersed in the track. And I like that a lot, because some people don't let tracks breathe or do anything, especially with K-pop. K-pop is normally a continuous, like, if you're used to this, change the progression. If we're singing, now we're rapping. It's just kind of something that's always changing, like in K-pop, and I like that he's
I think it's part of why. I think it's part of why, at least why some ballads seem to kind of hit me the most. I think is how scaled back they are, how emphasized they are in lyrics and vocals. And not to say that all of the songs on the album are like much like ballads, but I'd say that they're like similar enough in kind of structure and approach, at least, to where it strikes the same chords for me, I suppose.
Is that sexy love for the things you do? Keep me strong, keep me running back to you. Ooh, I love you. So sexy love versus. To that lazy love, woo! You got that I don't wanna go, no. That lazy love, that's a decent ass concept.
What?
You got that I don't wanna do nothing. I got that lazy love. That I don't wanna go nowhere, lazy love. Nia. Nah, anything else I wanted to add though? I know you wanted to get some more.
Well, the last thing I was really gonna add was I do like the the comforting aspect of it, both with that. It kind of keeps a little bit contextually with the older younger aspect, not for relationship wise, of course, but just like more of a mentor-y kind of thing. But basically, I really like the how confident the kind of vocals were of like the "you did your best" kind of like to kind of end both what I believe was the hook and kind of the outro seemingly, where it's like everything you went through, like it's going to be something that scars you. It's going to be something that's like not necessarily you're not going to exactly get over, but knowing that there's nothing like as much as you're going to want to go back and change things and try to make it right and overthink yourself to death basically about it. Knowing that you did your best and that essentially like there's like you can't change it, so you got to learn to kind of accept it. I just think those lines are both comforting, and I think her vocals were incredible in doing that. But then the last line after that, essentially from the hook to the end of the outro, basically saying like you will protect yourself now. It feels kind of bittersweet, at least to my interpretation of it, because it seems like a defense mechanism thing. Like walls will go up, you'll protect yourself now because you got hurt, but also like you'll learn like there could be a potential growth in it, but also like a scarring of it. And honestly, much like the mono thing, kind of like a black and white where something should be like a little bit of a gray area. This ironically does kind of feel like a little bit of that gray area in that bittersweet sense. So I'm not exactly sure. I believe it's a little bit more of the defense mechanism thing after being hurt, especially given how much of the album is focused on the shades of aspects of love. So I think there is a little bit of kind of bittersweetness to it, but nonetheless, her vocals and the harmonizing between the two of them were rather comforting in delivering it, regardless.
My favorite part. Keith, anything else with that?
Yeah, so I like this song. I thought it was. This said this ends the album. All right, I think it fits perfectly with some of the other songs that I've heard. Deshita, Winter Bear, Arson. I think all those songs on this album sound great. I think that that's not even the songs on the album, but.
I thought you meant the end of their respective albums. My fault.
I was thinking that too. I was just like, those all ended albums?
No, not
well, I know Arson was, but then I wasn't sure about that.
No, but I thought this was cool. I definitely like the thought of it. It seems like almost like he's kind of, I don't know if when you guys said it, kind of like telling somebody, it was like the opening lines of the song, like you'll be able to take care of yourself from now on. You'll protect yourself. It's almost like you're releasing your love into the wild because you can no longer give her what she needs, or they can no longer give you what you need. You'll always love them, but I can't protect your heart anymore. I can't protect you anymore. Like you are kind of fending for yourself out here. But I know you're strong enough that nobody will hurt you. I know you're strong enough that, because even after all the shit we've been through, if you ain't strong enough by now to be able to take care of yourself, then I don't know. But I don't know. I thought this was good. Again, like you said before, this definitely feels like it's a vibe track. Kind of like from what most of the songs I heard from the album, you really got to be in a vibe and a certain mood and a certain feel to kind of listen to it, or put it on to get you in a certain mood, certain vibe, certain feel. That's cool. Definitely something where you kind of want to like enjoy the ambiance and just kind of kick back, whether that be LED lights in the room or you light candles and smoke, or even if you just kind of like, I know people like put the TV on and then mute it and just watch it and listen to music and give it a whole different vibe from that as well. Whatever floats your boat. Shit, some people just sit in the dark and listen to music and digest it and take it in that way. But this definitely seems like one of those albums, like kind of like you would like a Sade or maybe like a Maxwell or like a D'Angelo or something like that, where you just kind of experience the music and relate it to things that you've been through and kind of live through the music, if that makes sense. It definitely seems, well, mind you, I haven't heard everything, but from what I've heard, it just kind of gives me that vibe. And although I haven't heard everything, if it's anything like the first two albums where there's kind of a central theme all the way through, and I feel like from what you guys are saying, that's kind of what's happening here. It's like a central vibe, feel, and emotion all the way through. Yeah, I definitely feel like this could be something like to be nice and just kind of relax and chill out to.
Yeah, this is pretty much what it is. Like I said, we'll definitely get into like the whole album review aspect of it. That way you can have the opportunity to listen to some other tracks. Me and Kurt can redigest like some tracks maybe we didn't spin the block directly back on and then kind of talk about it. But I love the whole like amalgamation of like from the 20s all the way up to like 29 and just kind of telling like that story. And especially him kind of having a certain type of energy after 2019 up until now that he wasn't able to kind of get off on the first two albums. It's a certain vibe with the energy. Everything feels very organic. I'm just kind of loving the direction that he went in.
What I want to say real quick, it feels like we always talked about what is the motivating factor behind these guys and when they do their albums or whatnot, what have you. But it seems like in every incarnation of him doing a solo project, it was literally whatever he was feeling at that time to get off his chest. The more you listen to the albums, the more you kind of get that vibe, and the more I personally think back to that conversation that he had with Bang. And it's just like, yeah, I can do all this stuff, but this is my time. Basically, this is me cracking open my diary. And like kind of like you said when it came to the lyrics, very short, to the point. I'm saying what I got to say. I'm not, was that Kurt? Not mincing my words, not kind of changing around.
He said there was one verse as opposed to just.
It was just kind of like focused, like, and RM we know has a vocab that could take one sentence and then say it to a way he could break it down to where it's almost like a whole paragraph. Yeah. And he didn't do that. He said exactly what he wanted to say, how he wanted to say it, how he meant to say it, exactly what he was feeling, and it came across on paper.
That's why I'm a sucker for like some of the songs where, because I know sometimes people will get offended when we say it's like, oh, this RM track was simplistic or something. They be like, what do you mean by that? And it's just like simplistic in the terms of like what we're used to from him, where we know things can be very complex. They're double entendres or a lot of like things on top of things, and then like it's just a lot of stuff. But like he's literally on some of these tracks like I'm fucking lonely, and it's just like it ain't too much past that. Like you don't need to kind of double guess or do anything.
In fairness, though, I do think he expressed it in ways that were both poetic but easily digestible. And what I mean by that is like even what is said in this track as far as the air balloon, the love being like air or whatever, like it was something that filled him up. It gave him confidence, but it was ultimately hollow. Like there was no
substance.
There was no substance inside. And that's a poetic way of wording it, but also in a way that everyone can understand and digest. But also exactly to what Keith had said, which is also something I believe that is true with the album as well. That he says his side of the story, but he says it in a way where it's, I don't want to say vague enough, but he builds the bridge halfway. That's kind of the way I like describing situations like this, and allows you to build the other half. So now the story I'm telling about me and my loss, my relationship, my grief, my journey of processing things, I'm saying that in a way where I'm still describing to you pain, but I'm allowing you to interpret that pain and tie it into your own life and how you interpret it. So now something that is a very specific situation to me could be something that is very relevant to you. So I think anything that was kind of scaled back in that way, perhaps, allowed it to cast a wider net, but in a poetic way as well. Like
another thing too.
No, I was just about to say, and that was the whole thing where it just was like that. It's great film writing and great music and everything. Most of the time, it's done to where an artist doesn't need to completely hold your hand through an entire story or through an entire verse. Like you said, you do like the half bridge model where it's like I gave you enough, now you meet me halfway, and now those bridges connect, and now you get the whole point of whatever is being conveyed through the art. And my whole point was just basically, I like the straightforward approach on here with a lot of tracks. Even with how tracks are like layered, where it's like I don't have to give you like a 16, you get the chorus of 16 and give you another chorus. He has structures on here that I haven't really seen from him as far as like a 16, a 8, and then just the tracks breathing and maybe give you a little bit more, or like a 16, they'll go a 16 and the track is over.
And it feels like something that ultimately grows more with time because you're allowing yourself to kind of go down that rabbit hole emotionally and introspect yourself. It holds a mirror up to you and allows you to look within yourself as opposed to just purely interpreting someone else's story.
Mm-hmm. That's what I like that a lot.
So I kind of look at it in two ways. So I look at it one way. I'm a big fan of Big Bang Theory, right? And the reason I like the show is because, yes, exactly. Like I was one of those kids that was put in advanced placement classes and things like that. So when they talk about science and they have those jokes, they don't explain shit. You either get it or you don't. And the people who normally don't get it find the show to be tedious and not funny. The people who do get it love the fucking show. I am one of those who love it. And that's kind of how I feel about some of the things that he was saying in some of the songs that we've heard where you get it, you get it. If you don't, I'm sorry. But this is how I feel. This is point blank what it is. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. And as writers,
Sugarcoat.
and as writers, sometimes we can
Sugarcoat
over elaborate and over break down and over try to poet, fantasize and romanticize and make it poetic, and we can do all those things just because one, it sounds great. Two, it's an ego boost when it's done correctly for us. Like, yeah, I nailed that shit. But sometimes when you just want to get it out, like there are times where like I will write a status or something and I would never even hit send or I would just like write it out to get it out and then delete it. It sounds like he wrote it out and then released it to the wild for everyone to hear. And like you send that wild text that you're supposed to read over before you hit send. Mm-hmm. It's like he just hit send anyway. And however it came out is however it came out. However it was interpreted is how it was interpreted. What you got is what you got. But this is what I mean when I say it. And you can try to like mince it, but this is it. But I love that aspect, and I think it's a very raw and honest aspect of storytelling, and just getting your point across.
Stream of consciousness is often the most organic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like I said, the album review will be coming like later on once we kind of digest it and get an opportunity to really double back on some tracks that we haven't like listened to since the first time we did it. Jump in the comments, tell us how y'all felt about this. Tell us where y'all rank this at as far as like all our RM content like on the album. Love y'all. We're gonna holler at y'all.
Love y'all.
Peace.
Take care.